Hello, everyone. My name is Rafal, and I would like to welcome everyone to my Headshot Photography podcast. Today, I have special guest Alex Khokhlov. He lives in London. He's a commercial photographer. And first of all, I just want to say big thank you for accepting my invitation. Your work is absolutely stunning, and we talk a little bit prior we start this podcast that your images were popping up everywhere on my social media, all sorts of different channels. And as I mentioned, the type of images you're creating, you cannot just kind of scroll through. You have to stop it because they're so engaging, they're so interesting, and there is something in them which really caught my eye, and I was just looking at them, and some of them they extremely interesting and funny at the same time. And we're going to be showing some of your work a little bit later. So I just want to really dive into your world because you've create stuff which, as I said, it's extremely fascinating and interesting. And I want to talk a little bit about it. What is the process behind it? I want to talk about your creativity, how you're even coming up with those ideas, because this is something which really intriguing me, and I really want to talk to you about those details because I'm sure there's a lot of to share.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation, Rafal. This is my first podcast ever.
Is it okay? So hopefully it's a good start, and I'm sure when people see your work, well, there's tons of people who saw your work. I'm sure they're going to be inviting you because there's a lot of to unpack here. So before we jump into your images, and then we're going to talk about some of the details, I would like to start with, can you tell me your path into photography? And I always ask this question as one of the first questions because what I've learned over the last several years, and as soon as I start talking to all sorts of different photographers, everyone has some kind of interesting path getting into this. There's some people who they have completely different jobs. I've heard lawyers, doctors, you name it, and all of a sudden they found this passion for photography, and they just flipped their entire life into creating imagery. So what was your path into becoming professional and commercial photographer?
My path in photography is quite long. It's more than 16 years already, I
Okay.
guess. Uh, it started with music. So I was a musician before. I
Oh, wow. Okay.
I performed as a drummer,
Mhm.
and I took the camera first time in 28, I guess, and it was kind of concert show photography. So I
Mhm.
just shooted concerts, and that was my first experience in shooting. And I changed such a lot of genres before I came out to something that interested me. So I came out to conceptual beauty photography.
Okay.
But 7 years ago, I completely changed the direction to animals, and I really found it engaging, cheerful, and it's quite a stress relief genre of shooting for me.
Okay.
You can imagine.
Yes.
And I, s- I don't know. I feel that I found my place at the moment. Feel myself really, really nice with that.
Okay. So what was the transition? Like, you started right away with commercial stuff, because we're going to jump in fairly quickly into your Instagram, because I've noticed you started with portraiture, right? And there are
Yeah.
some very, very fascinating images, and then we're going to show them in a second. So like did you right away decided which kind of genre of photography you want to be in, or also did you kind of work around it to find what works best for you, and you try all sorts of different stuff, and then at some point you're like, okay, this is what I want to focus on?
No, I think so. My way wasn't like the way of commercial photographer. Like
Mhm.
every photographer, it was the way full of curiosity, full of exploration of something.
Okay.
And I tried to dig into different genres of photography.
Okay.
Try as lot that I can
Mhm.
before I found myself. in the perfect genre that I think. And yeah, so but actually, I had no any specific education in photography. It was really hard. It was really hard to find something when I started. And my first teachers were commercial photographers.
Okay.
So I think I took a lot from them, and my approach to photography was a bit commercial, from genre to genre. Uh, but when you teach, when you learn something, you try to like after some time, you try to find your own way.
Okay.
You try to your own way and to open yourself as a photographer. So my first ideas were connected to beauty photography. So I started working with different makeup artists and created a few projects that became quite viral on the web.
Okay.
And after that, I got some international recognition.
Okay.
And I found myself like, it was a really nice boost of my career. I guess it was more than 10 years ago. Yes, so this picture was made in 2013. And it was one of the projects that went quite viral on the web. So I can say it iconic in my photography. So I got a lot of recognition with that. These pictures are still popular. But after some time, I found myself that I don't feel myself as a photographer in such a project. It's more like a makeup artist project. So and a lot of people could say like, you have a great makeup artist, where is the photography? And I started to change something, to find something new. So I tried fashion, I tried portraiture, I tried I don't know, anything, before I came to pet photography in 2017. Yet you see that my portfolio is quite, I don't know,
Diverse.
quite diversal. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of, before we get into the pet photography, because that's, I think, what I found you, because some of those images, they're iconic at this point, and I'm sure you know that, because they've been everywhere and people really kind of see them and notice them. But let's kind of start with the portraiture, and then I want to actually just, let's say, jump into this image, and I think you brought a really interesting point about when people start saying, well, you have a great artist, well, you have a great makeup artist, where's the photography? But I think a lot of people don't realize it's a team effort. It's not just
Absolutely.
it's not just makeup artists, because you can have the best makeup artists, if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to photography, there's no way you can create, for example, something like this. So I want to talk a little bit about the creative process there, because this is something that it's not that you guessed, you know what I mean? Like, there was like a precisely planned, you had the concept, you have the idea, you want to create something, and then you went for it, and you executed with such a precision that those images, as I said, they cannot be just kind of passed through. Like, people who are ever looking at something like this are going to stop and are going to just dig deeper into this. So tell me a little bit more. Let's start with the portraiture. Tell me a little bit about your creative process. How those idea comes to life. Are you creating some kind of mood boards, or you have some kind of concepts, or you are inspired by somebody, or you see something which is like, okay, you know what, I want to utilize this and create something on my own. Tell me a little bit about the process of, for example, creating something like this.
Yeah, so this is really a good example of my dream project. So this is a commercial project made for the jewelry brand.
Okay.
So this brand was really really creative, as a brand, and the pieces of the brand are this is high end jewelry.
Hmm.
Uh, and they were open to negotiation about the concept in their promo campaign. They came to us, and I work with my wife. So I said us because I work with my wife as a team. My wife was a
Yes.
producer in this project, and they asked to make something with the new collection of their jewelry,
Hmm.
something with makeup. So the makeup was like the must from them, and we started. I had an artist that I worked with already, and we did some brainstorm before we
Hmm.
started. So like brainstorm is like the starting point. So what
Hmm.
we have in the hands at the moment, we have some requests from the client. What is going to be? What resources do we have?
Hmm.
Like money, time. Should it be studio? I don't know. If it's like low budget, okay, what can we do? What can we do with that? So this project is quite a good example how to make very good result with a low budget. So
Hmm.
the client wanted a lot of images uh, with makeup
Hmm.
and the jewelry. Jewelry should be merged into the makeup. So the goal was to uh, make the result not to look messy. So the accent should be on the jewelry, not on the makeup. Because if you
Hmm.
do the complicated makeup, it can take all the attention and you
Hmm.
can just lost the product in this
Hmm.
makeup. So what we tried to make all the makeup simple and do some story around the jewelry piece.
Hmm.
So you see this piece of jewelry is made like a leaf.
Yeah.
uh, I think it's a, I don't know, it's dandelion or what's
Yes.
that. And we created some grass around made of paper. And what we did, so we had three models, uh, and each model had two makeups.
Okay. Because there's some other ones, right?
Yeah. And we just changed this paper composition and jewelries on the faces. So you see, this is the same green makeup in this picture, but we changed the composition of the paper
Hmm.
and changed
Jewelry.
the jewelry. So it was quite simple, but we changed the background, changed the light. Sorry, not the light. Changed the background, changed the mood a bit, and it's like completely different portrait.
Hmm.
Uh, Everything was made in one day, simple, and it's quite stunning. Actually, I really love this project. Very good executed, and all made by ourselves. So all the art direction, the idea was created by me and my team.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah, so we did everything from scratch in this project.
Absolutely stunning. And then, I think I saw those images before. Well, I saw them at some point because, like whenever you see something which kind of is engraved in your mind, it stays there, right? And I think this is one of the projects where you look at those images, you're not going to forget them. And then I think, yeah, you've done extremely tremendous work with this. So tell me a little bit about this entire idea of creating this. And
Yeah.
then you told me a little bit, but how did you how did you basically just execute this? Because that's another question which I think a lot of photographers going to ask. You had this concept, you had this whole idea. Tell me a little bit about the technical details, like, because I think a lot of people always want to, if you want to share, of course, with that, because the lighting is the makeup is precise, the lighting is precise, like the colors are spot on. um, Basically, if you could just tell me a little bit about the technicalities when it comes to those images.
Uh, there's a lot of preparation before the shoot was made.
Okay.
So the jewelry was the basis that we
Hmm.
that we started with. So we had a look at the jewelry, at the collections, and divided them into groups. For example, this collection is dedicated to the sea, and this collection is more like flowers. This is tropical, and this is something like this is about sea as well, the ocean. And we just divided everything into a few themes, and we started to create some sketches around them. So we always, in such a complicated project like this, my team starts with sketches. So we draw what we can do, and we think about the resources. So how we should make that. So we know the client's task. We know the what we have. We know the product. We know the deadlines. So
how long it takes you from preparation to the final images and final well, from start to finish? Did you guys shoot that in one day? You guys had a little bit more time?
Everything was made in one day. I think the preparation was around a week.
Oh wow, okay.
And the retouching was quite long. Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. Yeah.
So do you retouch those images, or you have a team? How that works?
No, I have a retoucher.
Retoucher.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. No, those are stunning. Everything about those images is absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the lighting. Let's kind of unpack this. If you, of course, because a lot of people are always interested, like, how did you light this? Like, I know this is just one of the elements of this entire process. But I also notice nowadays, especially, people want to know about the lighting, because that's the way I think photographers work sometimes. Even though, as I said, it's just this like little small component of this entire thing. But tell me a little bit about the lighting. How did you come up with the lighting setup? What would you use if you, of course, okay, with share it, and tell me a little bit about this. How did you light this whole thing?
First of all, I have a YouTube backstage from this project, and I'll share it with you.
Okay, sure. So I will link that so people can kind of see it. Sure.
No problem. The lighting setup was quite simple. I changed it during the shooting process. So I started with a beauty dish and some rim lights made with strip boxes.
Okay.
And I completely wasn't satisfied with the result.
No.
So I changed the lighting scheme to very large parabolic softbox.
Okay.
If you know the brand called Hansel, so they have a series called Grant. Hansel Grant is like a very huge parabolic softbox. Okay. It was like it was hanged vertical before model's face, like up the model's face, and I feathered the light with the softbox, and just some light touched the face of the model and jewelry. I put some flags, the black flags, on the sides, and the second light was the zoom reflector with the honeycomb grid to the background. That's it. Colorful backgrounds.
Colorful backgrounds. Perfect. Yeah. No, it's awesome.
I think I used some gels as well. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Just to enhance some of those colors. No,
and for sure to feel the shadows under the chin, I use the reflector. So the lighting setup is quite simple here, and I really like the simplicity. So everything is simple, but it looks really nice.
Yes. Well, I think it's just the entire process, right? That's, I think, a lot of photographers, they don't understand. It's not just the lighting, it's not just the equipment, is literally entire process from idea to preparation to proper makeup to lighting to retouching, and then it's like you have to put all those elements together to make this work, right? Because if you miss one of those, this whole thing turns into garbage. And that's the way I also learned over the years, that it's just not one step. And also, this is the message what I'm trying to send to a lot of photographers. You might have the greatest ideas, but
Yeah,
the execution is the key, right? And sometimes
absolutely.
it's not
And
not easy.
it's just understanding what you do. So
Yeah.
when you when you keep this idea in your head, you know that how your result should look
Hmm.
like.
Yeah.
And of course, when you see the light is wrong, you need to do something to change it according
Yes.
to your idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward, and let's talk about some other stuff. So then you start slowly moving into pet photography,
Yeah.
um, and those images. Literally, when I look at them, y- y- they so interesting because I think what you started doing, which I never seen before, you start putting like humanity into those pets, the characters, the face expressions, the this kind of like story behind those. So tell me how you even got into this, because I know working with pets, it's not easy. Even though I never work with pets, I shoot some friends, pets, but not to that extent. So first of all, I want to ask you, how did you even get into this, and then how this whole thing becomes such a massive project for you, and then you can see also the progress, like how you started, like with just the regular, close-ups of pets, getting into more complex images, which, as I said, they're becoming an iconic, and we're going to move to them in a second. But let's start, how this process started, where this idea came from, and how you were executing, like some of those sessions.
Yeah, I came to animal photography in 2017
Okay.
during creating of my art project that I
Okay.
needed dogs for.
Hmm.
Um, and the dog portraits was made like a complimentary for the owners
Hmm.
who who was so kind to bring the animals to my shoot. And they liked they liked the portrait so much that I started to create more.
Hmm.
And I found it really engaging, actually, because it was my dream. My dream in photography to create characters.
Okay.
And I found myself that I can create character almost from every dog on the shoot.
Okay.
And this character can surprise me. So you don't know who you will be faced
Hmm.
uh, during the shoot. And that was like the biggest motivation in this genre of photography, to open these characters, to find these characters, to, I don't know, to create these characters on shoot. For example, there is a picture of Weimaraner in the hoodie, and
Yes, I'm gonna. That's what actually I was looking for.
yeah, that is quite iconic. And we didn't know that we will face Darth Vader. Sorry, not
Hmm.
that. It's Darth. I don't know, like evil emperor from
Yes.
Star Wars on this shoot. Uh, yeah, but this is fantastic. Actually, this is a great feeling when you found these characters, and this is my style. This is my style of work
Hmm.
to create the characters from humans, from pets, like from
Yeah, yeah.
from anything. Yeah, that's what drives me in photography.
So tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about this creative process again, because that's something what interests me always the most. So
yeah,
you started with just the pets, and then you started, okay, now I can spice this up a little bit and start, adding elements like, like hoodie or something to just bring this character into life. So how those ideas even coming, because like it also, what I found is interesting. You not only can create these interesting characters, but you can match them with the proper breed, right? That this one is just like works perfectly. So you also kind of, I don't know, creating those concepts, or this is just like hit and miss sometimes? Like how that feel, how this whole thing works for you?
It always an element of curiosity. When I started with the dog photography, I think I wanted to shoot every breed, every dog breed that I saw,
Okay.
and just a lot of people started to write me to wanted to come into the shoot, and they just brought anything with them, like hoodies, hats, any.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
wanted to create a special photo, and I really liked it. I like when the owner of the dog is involved in the shoot, when because the owner knows the dog more than me,
Hmm.
knows the breed more than me, uh, and yeah, it was a massive help from owners to create these characters as well. I found some breeds more photogenic than than the others. For
Okay.
example, the Amarana, so the dog in hoodie.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like the most, I don't know, uh, the most humorous breed, and I always try to add some pinch of humor in every portrait.
Hmm.
Uh, I think this is my thing. I like humor. I like humor in photography. I
Hmm.
like when photography talks with you and you smile. So
Yes.
I think that's my thing, and that helps me to make this portrait
Yeah.
special.
So tell me about the process itself, like, how this session looks like, because with humans you can direct them, you can tell them turn here, look at here, you can put them in a specific mood. But with dogs you have to have completely different way of communicating with them. And then, as you said, the owners of the dogs usually knows that their dogs a little bit better, so they can help you. But also what I've noticed, like, exactly when to push the button and create this
Yeah,
unique uh expression, right? Because I think that's what also is so catching with your work, that you were able to bring um expression to these animals, right? And then you just, I don't want to say you make them look like humans, but you bring those human face expressions to them. So tell me a little bit about how this process looked like, how this session looked like. I'm very curious um how this process look like on your end. So the dog's coming into the studio and then you start kind of working with the dog. How that process look like?
so everything depends on the animal.
Okay.
I always, when I start my shoot, I give some time to the animal to get settled
Mm-hmm.
in the studio, to like sniff around and
Yeah.
having some time, just feel comfortable in the studio. I do some tests of flashes just to see if the dog or cat, I don't know, feels okay with the flashes, because there are there are cases when the animal doesn't feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with flashes, and getting really frightened with that. And after giving animals some time, and I if I feel the animals is comfortable, uh, reacting really nice to the flashes, curious about treats or something,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we started the shoot. The shoot is I divide the shoot into small sessions, maybe 5 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, maybe less, give some rest to the animal. And if I feel myself that I did the shot that I wanted, so that's it.
That's it, you're done.
Yeah, I don't I really don't want to stress the animal. If I feel
Mm-hmm.
that I got it, I got this, I got the portrait that I wanted, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I stop the shoot. I don't want to make the animals feel stressed.
Okay. So how long usually session takes with the dog? We're talking about 30 minutes, hour. What do you usually, how much
It
time you
really
take?
it really depends on the animal, on the breed. So some
Mm-hmm.
dogs can perform really nice in the beginning of the shoot.
Okay.
Some need some time to settle down, and they start to perform really nice in the end of the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and at this time, we try anything that we can. So my goal is to get the attention to the camera. So
Mhm.
this is the first thing. The second thing is emotion. Emotion is
Mhm.
the key in my portrait. So I try to use anything, different sounds. I try to use
Okay.
treats. Um, so the owner can massively help on the shoot,
Mhm.
because some owners can, pronounce some magic words that get all the attention to that. And yeah, anything works. And it really depends on the animal. If the animal is well trained, it's easier. If it's
Mhm.
just a friend and a house dog, it could be a bit longer to
Mhm.
settle down. Sorry. Yeah, so that's how everything works.
So do you think it's easier to work with animals or with people?
I think working with animals is more difficult.
Is it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Well, I think yeah, you have like, well, that's the way I see it. It's like you have like split of the second to get the shot, right? And you have to be like constantly on your toes to be ready to get what you're looking for.
You can say dog or cat, for example, how to pose and
Yeah,
how to
that's what I'm
turn.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no, you can just tell them what to do. Yeah.
and you need to have a really nice sense of moment
Mhm.
to get this shot that they want that you want to achieve, that you want to get.
Mhm. Perfect. So let's switch the gears and let's talk about the most iconic shots. All these dogs with all sorts of different helmets and then all this stuff. How this idea came to life. And I'm just
So
kind of curious also about like where even you were getting this stuff, because this is such a clever element which also just brings completely different vibe to the image. It's fascinating, and I think that's what really caught people attention. You just combine those elements in such a profound way that makes those images extremely unique.
this is my recent project that I called
Okay.
Fast and Curious.
Okay.
It was started 3 years ago in Moscow, and this is the first project where I combined the actual photography with the CGI.
Okay.
So this image is not a part of it. It's just the
That is
the
not this one. Okay.
yeah. This is just a
So
picture made for Easter.
okay.
So for this project, the CGI team was involved.
Hmm.
So we started to work with guys from Belarus, and after I moved in London, I found a studio called Pop Creative,
Hmm.
and they helped me to finish this project up.
Okay.
So in total, we created 16 images in this project.
Oh wow.
And this series dedicated to the fastest dogs in the world. So everything here is about speed. This is the
Okay.
fastest dogs,
Okay.
really. It's mostly hounds. That's why I try to showcase them as races,
Hmm.
as real races. So I really enjoyed in my childhood watching cartoons like Speedy the Racer
Hmm.
or like Biker Mice from Mars. I think it was the same. So I really wanted special characters. Um, and I think I got this. And when we did the last picture, it was such a relief, and I just had a look at them.
Hmm.
They were all fantastic. And also, my friend, who is a great designer, uh, made a series of collection cards from these images. So
Hmm.
it's going to be 16, like the special series of collection cards made from these photos.
Nice. So tell me a little about the project itself. This was project. Did you do that for yourself, or that was just like an project for some company? Well, how? Like I know you had the concept behind it, but were you kind of like hired by someone to do this, or that was just completely your idea and it's like, okay, I have this concept, I'm gonna execute it, and I'm gonna do it? How that worked?
No, this is my personal project.
Hmm.
I came to an idea after the master class of my friend, who is
Hmm.
a great 3D artist, and
Oh, okay.
I was inspired so much after that. that in the same day when I left the master class, I decided, why I just want to make the races of the dogs.
Mhm.
Why not?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
w- and they need to wear helmets, and I need to find a
Mhm.
team to for the execution.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how the idea was created, and
Okay.
yeah.
So tell me, let's kind of dive in deeper into a little bit. So you shot the dogs, and
Yeah.
then the rest of it was CGI created by another artist, and you guys combine the forces to create those images. Is that correct?
Yes, this is correct. So the first of all, the portraits was made. So we did the shooting
Hmm.
of every breed,
Okay.
and after that, we created the set for the CGI team. So the same set of lights was created to lead the helmet.
Oh, okay.
So we represented the studio light in the software
Hmm.
to make all the helmets look natural and look
Hmm.
like everything is, you see, like spot on. Because some people still think that these helmets are real and ask
Yes.
me to well, where can I find the helmet
Yeah.
for my, for my dog?
Yeah.
I want to make the same portrait. I said, like, this is a CGI, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You cannot.
yeah, another another thing that worries me a bit, that for these 3 years that passed from the start of the project, the AI uh, did such a huge progress
Hmm.
that a lot of people thinks that this is AI. This is
Okay.
not even CGI, and I try to, like, put some notice in every photo, like, this is not AI, guys. This is made by,
Hmm.
this is a hard work made from real people.
Yeah. 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 No, I was kind of curious about it because I think that was I'm sure everyone has the same kind of thought when they see those images. Like, where can I get the helmet, right? How I can
Yes,
buy
yes,
this? And I'm sure you know what, if you would create those helmets, for the dog size, you would probably selling them like crazy. I can guarantee you this. So maybe
yes.
that's like a business idea for the future, that people would buy anything to create something like this. But yeah, but that's a really clever approach, and it's just really put some interesting story to all those images. So tell me, are you planning to continue this, or this is the project which is already done and then you moving to something else, or you want to continue with this?
No, I think this project is done, and I
Hmm.
spent a lot of time in creation, in making this happen.
Hmm.
And this is the first time I spent so much time in the project, and it was one of the, I don't know, one of the hardest projects for me. So I try to
Hmm.
move on at the moment, and I have a lot of ideas in my pocket.
Okay.
So I want to focus on them.
So are you planning to stay and still shooting animals, or you have some any other ideas and concepts which you want to execute?
I have some ideas with people, but I have so much to say with animals.
Hmm.
So that at this moment I try to focus on that genre, and I
Okay.
don't know. I think that I feel comfortable myself in working with animals. I want not to focus only on dogs, not only on cats. I want
Okay.
now I'm in London. There's a lot
Hmm.
of farms here, so I can work with other animals, and
Hmm.
yeah. So why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think y- you've learned how to capture something different about animals, right? Because usually people just taking pictures of them, but you just bring completely different life into them, and that's, I think, what it's so captivating, um, about your work. Okay, so let's switch the gears and let's talk a little bit about photography in general. I just want to kind of pick up your brain. What is the current status of photography in your opinion? Because I think well, you've mentioned AI, which came in to our life, and I'm always asking photographers about it because it's a massive disruption when it comes to let me kind of close this for a second. Massive disruption to photography, and especially to commercial photography, to any type of photography.
Yeah.
And I see there is huge debate online, and people just fighting back and forth about what's the future of photography. A lot of people are panicking and then getting scared, and then they just like think this is end of the world and photography is pretty much done. But so there's a couple things what I want to ask you, because first, I think that by the projects, for example, you've done, you can prove it that AI would never come up with something like this. That's where the creativity comes to place, and AI cannot really surpass humans, and then the way we think and the way we see the world, the way we can connect certain things and then make something interesting. Definitely AI is going to make a lot of those things easier for us. But tell me a little bit, what is your take on this whole AI disruption in photography? Do you think we can take advantage of it and make this work, or should be scared? What's your approach, and what do you think about this whole new technology coming really strongly to our industry?
Well, as a creative person, I can't say I'm scared. I think this is a really powerful tool that came into our lives, and yeah, this is what's happening. And if you have a really powerful tool, you need to, I don't know, you need to find the way to how to work with that,
Mhm.
how to make it helpful in your profession, in your career. So
Mhm.
I think in this way, how to make it useful for me, how to make it useful for my photography. I don't think I will be struggling, because when you have ideas, so our brain, our creativity is our the most powerful tool that can be uh, beat by AI at the moment.
Mhm.
Because of course you can visualize some ideas with the AI. It can be really helpful, but it cannot change. No, it cannot make. It can't replace. It can't replace you. It can't
Mhm.
replace your brain. It cannot dig into your brain and think for you.
Yeah.
I think so. I this is my approach in that. My
Mhm.
most the biggest concern is the regulation uh,
Mhm.
of the AI photographies. How to regulate that? I think there's a lot of cases when AI is trained by the works of famous photographers. So, like the legal side
Of
of the
it.
AI
Yeah.
development is really important.
Yeah.
I'm a like the current member of Association of Photographers, so it's like the big professional society of photographers here in the UK, and
Mhm.
they try to find the way of regulation of the AI at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every country is trying to do that. On that note, I was participating recently in Canadian photography conference, and I talked to a bunch of um, kind of regulators, I could say, and also who are really heavily involved in photography. And I had this gentleman, which we had very long conversation, and he is organizing all sorts of photography contests where people can, submit their images. And they started actually really heavily analyzing all those images. So they're running them through all sorts of different software, and the software can tell them if there is some AI used to creating those images, and they're becoming really strict on this. So if they find out that even small portion of the image was somehow interrupted by AI technology, that those images automatically basically dismissed from the competition.
Yeah,
They also thinking about creating separate kind of like categories where you can really explore AI and do that. So I think there's concern from all fronts, and I think people try to figure it out. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, because AI is becoming so good that at some point they won't be able to recognize which was done by AI or not. But I 100% agree with you on the fact that the AI at this point cannot push creativity the way we can. And I think that's something which people should keep in mind, that this is something we can definitely still use it. And then can I help us with creating certain projects and certain ideas, and then kind of visualize them, because that's also what I think AI can help us see things different way.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a new technology for us that it's something that we still have to learn a lot, and then just kind of as you said, figure out the legal side of it, because this is all over the place right now. I think this is just such a, I don't want to say mess, but like I feel sometimes like nobody knows what's going on with this. And the problem, what I see, this whole thing is so progressing quickly
Yeah.
that we cannot even follow up, because I can even see with me using AI, what was happening 6 months ago and what is happening right now. It's just day and night. And then, what's going to happen with the next, I don't know, 6 months and years and 5, 10 years, right? That's something that, we don't know, we don't have a control. And I think we have to somehow adopt to this for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about let's dive a little bit deeper in some of those things. Let's talk about the future of photography. What's your goal? Like, how you see it, this whole thing, in the next 5, 10 years, based on what do you do nowadays? Like, are you like really, let's say, full with ideas and you try to execute them, or um, how this whole thing looks like on your end, especially you living in London too, right? Where it's really fulfilled with different agencies. It's a kind of capital of the world, where you can explore yourself on a little bit or bigger scale.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really tough question, because, as you said, everything develops so quickly.
Mhm.
So I can't say what we are going to face in 5 years. I
Mhm.
definitely know that I have projects to be done for the close 2 years to be
Okay.
created. I have some ideas that I don't know. It's a lot of them, and some of them can take a lot of time uh, to be realized.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel myself in do what I do because I'm a creative person. So
Mhm.
and till the time that I feel this creativity in myself, that I come up with ideas, and I just like to do what I do, and
Mhm.
uh, I think I'm I'll stick to this plan for the next years, definitely.
Absolutely. So do you think this whole thing, AI, is affecting your work, or you don't really feel that?
I don't feel that. I don't feel
Mhm.
that at the moment.
At
So
the
we
moment.
will definitely see. I uh, I definitely want to dig deeper into AI. I
Mhm.
try to use that as a helpful photographer's
Cool.
tool, visualizing my ideas, suggesting the ideas, and use the power of AI like in my own interest. If
Yeah.
I have some photographs, I can train AI with these photographs to come up with something more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I also think that AI allows us to think differently, because as soon as I started using some of those things, you can really start looking at your work from different perspective, and then that's kind of my approach, and that's what I'm trying to do, is not just to kind of be terrified, but dig into this, see what can do and how I can utilize this and how I can use it, and also at the same time kind of look at my work from different perspective. And I think a lot of photographers forget that they can use this for educational purposes as well, kind of, as we said, visualizing some ideas, concept, and see how how we can improve them, how we can change them, how we can look at them. So I think depends also on our approach, how we kind of look at this whole thing. Because if you're scared, of course you're going to be terrified. And I see this like even on some of the discussions people have. There's two groups, right? One group which is completely optimistic and they like, you know what, let's go for it, try it, see what happens. But there's the other group, people who are completely lost and they completely scared to death that their career is over. Which I'm trying to again be optimistic and hopefully we will figure it out how to use this properly and how to kind of take advantage of it. And hopefully it's going to elevate everything what do we do, because if we can do that, then I think creativity also is going to be going to reach another levels, right, where we can really take into those really projects which before we couldn't. Because as you said also, like there's a lot of situations where we have to have proper resources to create specific images, and nowadays maybe that's going to help us a little bit to cut off the costs. And actually I have this conversation with another photographer from London, and he was saying that he couldn't do some of this work before AI, because he would have to go to specific locations, and he was shooting cars and stuff like that. He's like, I cannot go, I don't know, to Australia and shoot some stuff with the car, because just like it's just killing my all the money. And now with the AI I can somehow manage this to create the visions I have on such a lower budgets, right? And the client is happy, he's happy. It's just a matter of learning how to do this.
Yeah, I think it's just a question of control at the
Yes.
moment. So you can't control the result, because I can spend a lot of time in visualizing something that I have in my mind or in the paper.
Mhm.
And it's sometimes it's really struggling. And when you come up with some interesting results, you think, okay,
That could work.
we can work with that, or this is the interesting way of visualizing.
Yeah. And I also
So
think
I
like
can-
even like presenting to clients some ideas, right? Like you don't have to spend tons of money on creating something to showcase what you're going after to the client. You can just quickly create something artificially, and okay, this is the concept, this is what we can do, and help them understand where you're going after to, right?
I think so. My opinion is that it's not a really good idea to present your ideas to the client made with AI,
Yeah.
because the idea can be so greatly visualized and I don't know, made with something that you can just you cannot just create on
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
And you just can't have problems during production
Yeah.
making this story happen,
Yeah.
because the
But
client
don't
will
you?
be
Yeah.
the client will have this picture made with AI as a reference. And
Well, I think that's what I'm trying to say, because even, well, this is just an example. I don't know if this is the right example. Correct
yeah,
me if I'm wrong. But if you just tell to someone, hey, you know what, I want to create this project, when and there will be dogs with helmets, someone was just like, hey, what he's talking about. But then when you see the results, right,
yeah,
that's where you're getting get hit, because from the words to actually seeing certain imagery, it's just such a huge gap that some people, they don't have any emotional connection, right? But seeing those stuff in reality. But again, I'm not saying we should use AI. I 100% agree that this could be a little bit too far, but um but at least give them something to visualize, something, you know what I mean? Because I think I think there's this saying that the image has thousands words or something like this, that we can kind of have at least some reference points, so they can at least a little bit understand what are we going after. That's what I meant.
we still have mood boards that we
Yes.
need to create before the
Yeah.
presenting our idea to the client or to the agency, or whatever.
Absolutely.
So anyway, you need to find the references. And
Yeah.
before I created the project with helmets, I just took one of my portraits, the frontal one of the dog, and I found the helmets, like the frontal one, just
Yeah.
merge them together and show to the guys, it looks wonderful. Let's do
Yeah.
it. And they said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea is born, right? And now
Yeah,
it's just like, let's go for it.
that was a bit of improvisation from me,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, it worked. They liked the idea, so we started to create.
absolutely. Okay, so let's, I still want to talk a little bit about the business side because this is something what a lot of photographers struggle with. We can have great ideas, we can create amazing images, we can definitely do all sorts of interesting stuff, but selling it and making money and making a living, that's a completely different story. And I've noticed that a lot of photographers out there, they have problems with that, right?
Yeah,
And they great artists, and when it comes to business side, to make yourself sustainable and all this stuff, completely shifts all of it, and then they struggle. So what's your approach to business? How you sell your work? How you promote yourself? Like, like, we don't have to go to like really deep details, but if you could tell me, like, because you said you're sign up with certain agencies and then they helping with the work, how's your kind of the business side works to get those projects, to execute them, and then make money out of them. If I can ask you, of course, because I know this is like a very complex question, but if you could share for those ones who are getting into this industry and they want to, I don't know, make a living, what would be your advice?
so I during my whole career as a
Hmm.
photographer, I was focused on my personal work. So
Hmm.
my personal work always drives the commercial.
Okay.
If you if you have a really nice like creative personal work, you will definitely be successful as a commercial photographer. So my first advice is to create, to
Hmm.
create as much as possible, not to, I don't know, when you just bought a camera, not to focus on money.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to be, I don't know, a distinctive. That's what makes you you. You know, like
Hmm.
Alex or Rafal, whoever he is.
Hmm.
And it worked every time. So every my personal project will so followed me, directed me to something
Hmm.
commercial, something big, some big projects. And for example, after the project with helmets, I was signed by an agency in London, and
Wow.
it it was fantastic. So I was, I don't know, out of words when I got the email from them, and
Hmm.
yeah, so that's, I think, one of the main advices is to
Hmm.
create, be creative.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I always share. I don't know if you've had a chance to read that book, but it's written by Seth Godin, and it's called Purple Cow. And I
Yeah,
don't
of
know.
course, I have
Yeah,
this one.
you have this one. Yeah, so this is exactly what you're saying. Because I remember when I read that book, it was just like the wow moment where it's like, okay, you know what, I have to start creating things which attracts people, right? You cannot just focus on going after the clients, you have to create something which attracts them to you. And I think a lot of photographers forget about it, right? They go completely opposite way. They want to go after the clients without having anything to attract the client to them. And I also 100% agree with you, and this is just a golden thought which I think every photographer should just like literally take to their heart. You have to create a lot of your personal projects and something which stands out, something which is outside the box, something which is extremely creative, something which really is catching their eyes. And that's what's going to bring you interest, and then people start looking at you like, okay, you know what, if he can do this, there's definitely he can do all sorts of different stuff. So you're just kind of putting yourself on completely different level, and
Oh,
then you
I like
just
that.
like realize that's okay.
Yeah,
Then you can really, yeah. So that's a great idea. Perfect. You know what? Thank you so much, Alex, for your time. I would love to
thank you,
come back
Rafal.
and talk to you again at some point. I will be closely looking at every creation you put to the world. Please share everything what you have there, because it seems like you have lots. But it's extremely interesting, and it's yeah, you creating something that it's really extraordinary in my opinion. And thank you for your time. I had a great pleasure talking to you, and thank you for sharing all those little details. You also share some details, which I was like kind of pulling my hair out how he did it. So I was just
Oh,
kind of,
really?
well, the helmets was one of them, right? It was like, where did he get how he create? Like I thought my idea, what's kind of came to my head,
Okay.
and share that with you. I thought you made them, and then you start kind of like shooting with, because they look so natural that I thought maybe he, I don't know, got the company or some kind of like, I don't know, people, creative people who start making them, and
That
then
would
you just kind of,
definitely be great. Yeah, that would definitely be great. But
yeah.
no.
No, well, but as I said, who knows? Maybe there will be some company out there who's gonna see that and is like, oh my god, there is some opportunity
Yeah, why
to,
not?
I don't know, create something. And because you not only create them amazingly, but you execute them the very interesting way. So
I still
so
have an idea to work with Vespa. You know, Vespa
yes, yeah, they make these
scooters.
little mopeds, right? That's
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
call them.
I really
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah. Are they like a lot of them in London? Not really. They mostly in Italy, right? Italy, those
Yes,
like a little bit
yes.
warmer places.
I saw a few here in London, but not a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's pretty wet there, right? So,
Yeah,
like,
it's rare stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they're good for like a, places where it's fairly warm and they have summer pretty much whole year, because those are the
Yeah, for sure.
this is the time. So, but who knows? Maybe they will see that someone's from their executives will see it, and gonna get their ideas or their kind of creativity going, and then maybe they can connect those two for sure.
Yeah, why not? Fingers crossed.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Raul.
would love to talk to you again. We're gonna be in touch, I think, from now
Okay.
on. So, in a while, where maybe you're gonna have some any additional or different projects, I would love to jump back on the podcast and talk more about your creative images, because there's, it seems like you have a lot of going on, and then I will be
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
looking forward to pay attention what's coming out from your craft for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.